My daily routine invariably commences in the same manner. At 6 a.m., I awaken to the sound of my alarm clock reverberating through the serene residential streets of Brooklyn Heights. Upon drawing open the curtains, I behold the Manhattan skyscrapers, shrouded in the morning mist. The vista from my third-floor room in this brownstone consistently calms my spirit. My gaze is drawn to the silver frame resting on my vanity. It contains last year's Christmas family photograph. My sister, April, occupies the center, with our parents beaming on either side. And there I am, at the periphery, Caroline Wilson, with my customary subdued smile. "Let's strive for excellence today," I murmur. This practice of addressing myself in the mirror is a habit I've cultivated for years. Following a shower, I don my navy pantsuit and meticulously arrange my brown hair. As a senior manager at a prominent accounting firm, my appearance must be flawless. By the living room window, my treasured herb plants are arranged in a row. The aroma of thyme and rosemary provides fleeting moments of contentment. On weekends, I frequently spend time here, engrossed in a book while listening to Bach. "Early as always, dear," Mrs. Johnson from across the street remarks as I step outside. She's tending to her garden. In her 70s, she's become akin to a grandmother to me. "Good morning. Your garden looks magnificent today. Oh, did you see April's news? She's thriving on Wall Street. Your parents must be immensely proud." I hesitate momentarily at those words. My sister has evolved into a renowned investment analyst, attaining remarkable achievements. Her income surpasses mine more than threefold. She resides in a lavish Manhattan apartment, adorned in designer labels, and is perpetually in the social media limelight. "Yes, indeed," I reply with a smile, though I sense a subtle constriction in my chest. Since our childhood, our parents' affection has invariably been directed towards April. Even when I achieved excellent grades, April's modest accomplishments were lauded more fervently. My graduate school acceptance garnered less attention than my sister's high school report card. As I embark on the subway, I'm reminded of yesterday's family dinner. These Sunday family dinners persist as a tradition, at our mother's insistence. "April, darling, do share that wonderful news with us again," Mother eagerly addressed my sister while serving the roast beef. "Oh, it's nothing extraordinary, merely an award nomination." April maintained a demure facade, though her eyes shimmered with pride. "Caroline, why don't you emulate April's example and be more assertive?" At Father's words, I could only nod mutely. My department promotion and successful new projects weren't even deemed worthy of discussion. Here at the office, I'm immersed in the customary bustling atmosphere: corporate audits, tax return reviews, staff supervision. Steady, reliable, honest. That's my guiding principle. "Miss Wilson, could you review these calculations?" Jessica, a recent hire, approaches my desk tentatively. She perceives me as a rigorous but equitable supervisor. "Certainly, dear. Have a seat." While scrutinizing the figures, I glance out the window. My sister's office is situated somewhere amongst those Manhattan skyscrapers. A transient expression of uncertainty flickers across my face, but I swiftly dispel it. This is my quotidian existence, tranquil, stable, yet somehow lacking. However, this routine was on the verge of being drastically disrupted, in a manner none of us could have foreseen. At 8:15 p.m. on the evening of February 15th, I was hastening toward the subway station from my office on Atlantic Avenue. Peering up from beneath my umbrella, I observed the Brooklyn Bridge, creating an otherworldly tableau, illuminated by streetlights through the rain. The final review of tomorrow's audit report. While mentally organizing tomorrow's agenda, I approached the crosswalk as usual. The light was green. I inclined my umbrella slightly to verify the subway entrance on the opposite side. Abruptly, headlights emerged, rushing from the left at an alarming velocity. The roar of an engine, tires screeching on the damp pavement. There wasn't even a moment to cry out. A forceful impact. My body was propelled into the air, then plunged into oblivion. Just before succumbing to unconsciousness, oddly enough, I thought I perceived my mother's voice. "Caroline, why can't you be more like April?" A white ceiling, the scent of disinfectant, regular beeping sounds from a machine. "Miss Wilson, can you hear me?" My eyelids felt leaden as my vision gradually sharpened. I discerned a doctor in a white coat, peering down at me with concern. "You've been involved in an accident, and you're currently at New York Presbyterian Brooklyn Methodist Hospital. It's been approximately 2 hours since you were brought in, unconscious." A nurse was adjusting sensors on my body, documenting vital signs on the monitor. The entire scene felt as though it were transpiring in a remote realm. When I attempted to move, acute pain surged through my body. My right leg was immobilized in a substantial cast, and the agony in my chest and abdomen rendered even breathing arduous. My face was bandaged where I apparently sustained lacerations. "The X-rays and blood tests have returned," the doctor continued. "Surgery on the fracture is imperative tonight. We may also need to address internal bleeding during the procedure. We're anticipating approximately 3 hours of surgery. Don't move. You have extensive contusions throughout your body, a fractured right leg, and multiple lacerations. Surgery is required tonight. My family?" "Yes, we've contacted your emergency contacts." I experienced a faint sense of solace at those words. Surely my parents would arrive at a time like this, just after the nurse had checked everything for me and left. "Okay, here's a paraphrased version of the text following your instructions." The phone rang. It was Mother Caroline. "Mom, I've been involved in an accident. Yes, the hospital contacted you. But listen," Mother's voice wavered. "Today is April's award ceremony. She's being honored as Analyst of the Year. It's a crucial event." For a moment, I was bewildered. "We can't come to the hospital today because we have to be at the ceremony. But I require surgery." My voice shook. Father grabbed the phone. "Caroline, this is vital for April's career. There are medical staff there, correct?" Suddenly, I felt drained. "I understand," I managed to say, suppressing tears. After the call, silence filled the hospital room, punctuated only by the steady drip of the IV. I switched on the TV with the remote the nurse had provided. As if mocking me, my sister's award ceremony was being televised. The elegant Cipriani Wall Street, April on stage in a stunning gown beneath glittering chandeliers, our parents in the front row, their expressions radiant with pride. They all appeared so joyful, while I was here alone. I couldn't even wipe away the tears that flowed. The arm with the IV wouldn't move as I wished. Outside, a gentle rain persisted. Manhattan's lights flickered in the distance, ghost-like. Alone in the dimly lit hospital room, bathed in the TV's cool blue glow, I watched my family's smiles. Time until surgery. My watch ticked away the seconds relentlessly. Something more profound than physical pain was tightening around my heart. Nurse Maria entered quietly. Observing my condition, she promptly lowered the TV's volume. "Will your family be arriving soon?" she inquired softly. When I shook my head, Maria nodded in comprehension. "I'll initiate the premedication now. When you feel drowsy, just relax." As she infused the medication into my IV, I gazed at the ceiling. For the first time, I was examining my life, dedicated to work, my relationship with my parents and sister, the suppressed emotions, and the genuine essence of family. Objectively, "Caroline, we're prepared for your pre-op procedures." As my bed began moving toward the operating room, the hallway's fluorescent lights passed above like scenes from a film. In that illumination, I resolved to make this surgery, this night, the start of a renewed life. When I emerged from anesthesia, the window revealed the faint dawn light. The night nurse informed me the surgery had been successful, though pain lingered. I stared at the ceiling through a numbed daze, my consciousness hazy. The persistent ringing of my cell phone interrupted the quiet. 7:15 a.m. The screen displayed Mom. Recalling the previous night, I paused briefly, then answered, "Hello, Caroline. Where are you? Still at the hospital?" Mother's voice was unusually high-pitched. I could hear Father's agitated voice in the background. "Yes, the surgery is complete. We need to see you immediately. April?" Mother's voice cracked, and I heard her sobbing. Father took the phone. "We're en route. There's something significant we must discuss. But visiting hours. That's irrelevant." I instinctively distanced the phone from my ear at Father's shout. I'd never witnessed him so perturbed. Before I could comprehend, startling news began broadcasting on the hospital room TV. Breaking news. Major investment firm uncovers extensive fraud. Wall Street's rising star, April Wilson, arrested. The screen displayed my sister, who had been so luminous last night, now escorted by police, still in her designer suit covering her face. The suspect is accused of embezzling approximately $20 million in client funds for personal use. Evidence indicates the funds were used for luxury vehicles, international travel, jewelry collections, and other extravagant personal expenditures. My mind went blank. Last night's award ceremony, that smile, that radiance, had it all been a deception? The hospital room door swung open, despite it being before visiting hours. My parents hurried in. Mother hadn't even removed her makeup, and her eyes were puffy from crying. Father had shed his usual composed demeanor. His shoulders drooped. "Caroline, please assist April." Mother approached my bed, grasping my hand with trembling fingers. "The bail is set at $3 million. We're offering our assets as collateral, but it's insufficient," Father continued. "We require your savings." "My savings?" "The $1. $8 million I had amassed through diligent work as a senior manager and frugal living, money saved meticulously for future security." "We can't allow April to go to prison," Mother cried hysterically. "She's too young to have her life ruined. If you provide us with all your savings, we can manage the remainder somehow." Father's voice had regained its usual authoritative tone. I looked up at the ceiling. The IV drip sound seemed exceptionally distinct. "Why didn't you come to be with me during my surgery last night?" I inquired softly. "We informed you. April's award ceremony, which, it transpired, was also a sham." Mother was speechless. All this time, April's achievements were all that mattered. When I earned my degree, when I was promoted, you displayed minimal interest. And last night, you opted for an Okay, here's the paraphrased version of the text, adhering to all the instructions provided. The telephone buzzed. It was Mother Caroline calling. "Mum, I've been in an accident. Yes, the medical center got in touch with you. However, listen." Mother's tone was unsteady. "Today is April's recognition ceremony. She's receiving the Analyst of the Year award. It's a critical occasion. For a brief period, I was confused. We are unable to visit the medical center today as we must attend the ceremony. Yet, I need an operation." My voice trembled. Father took hold of the telephone. "Caroline, this is crucial for April's professional life. There are healthcare professionals present, aren't there?" Abruptly, I felt exhausted. "I comprehend," I said with difficulty, holding back my sobs. Following the call, quietness pervaded the hospital ward, broken only by the consistent dripping of the intravenous line. I activated the television, using the remote control the attendant had given me. As if to taunt me, my sister's recognition ceremony was being broadcast. The sophisticated Cipriani Wall Street, April on the platform in a breathtaking dress under sparkling lights, our parents in the initial row, their faces glowing with elation. They all seemed so happy while I was here by myself. I couldn't even dry the tears that were falling. The limb with the IV couldn't be moved at will. Outside, a soft precipitation continued. Manhattan's illumination twinkled in the periphery, spectral. Solitary in the faintly illuminated hospital ward, immersed in the television's chilly azure radiance, I observed my family's grins. Time remaining until the operation. My timepiece relentlessly counted down the moments. Something deeper than bodily discomfort was constricting my heart. Attendant, Maria came in softly. Noticing my state, she quickly reduced the television's loudness. "Will your relatives be here shortly?" she asked gently. When I moved my head negatively, Maria acknowledged with understanding. "I'll start the pre-sedation now. When you sense sleepiness, just unwind." As she administered the medicine into my intravenous line, I looked at the ward's upper surface. For the initial time, I was analyzing my existence, devoted to employment, my connection with my parents and sibling, the repressed feelings and the true meaning of kinship. Dispassionately, "Caroline, we're ready for your preparatory procedures before surgery." As my cot started moving towards the operating theater, the corridor's bright lights went by overhead like images in a motion picture. In that brightness, I determined to make the surgical procedure this evening the beginning of a revitalized existence. When I awoke from the anesthetic, the window showed the dim light of early morning. The night attendant told me the surgical procedure had been a success, although discomfort persisted. I stared at the overhead surface through a desensitized haze, my awareness cloudy. The continuous buzzing of my mobile phone broke the stillness. 7:15 a.m. The display showed Mum. Remembering the prior night, I hesitated momentarily, then took the call. "Hello, Caroline. Where are you located? Still at the medical center?" Mother's voice was strangely elevated. I could perceive Father's restless voice in the surroundings. "Indeed, the operation is finished. We must see you at once." "April?" Mother's voice faltered, and I detected her crying. Father grabbed the telephone. "We're coming. There's something important we have to talk about. However, visitation hours." "That's of no consequence." I reflexively moved the phone away from my ear at Father's bellow. I'd never seen him so agitated. Before I could grasp it, alarming information started airing on the hospital ward's television. Urgent announcement. Prominent investment company discloses widespread deceit. Wall Street's emerging talent, April Wilson, apprehended. The monitor showed my sibling, who had been so brilliant last evening, now being led by law enforcement, still in her formal attire, concealing her face. The defendant is charged with misappropriating roughly $20 million in customer assets for her own benefit. Proof suggests the assets were utilized for high-end automobiles, overseas trips, gemstone assortments, and other lavish individual expenses. My thoughts went void. The previous night's recognition event, that grin, that brilliance, had it all been a falsehood? The hospital ward's entrance opened wide, despite it being before allowed visitation periods. My parents rushed inside. Mother hadn't even taken off her cosmetics, and her eyes were swollen from weeping. Father had abandoned his typical calm manner. His shoulders slumped. "Caroline, kindly help April." Mother came to my bedside, clutching my hand with quivering fingers. "The monetary guarantee for release is established at $3 million. We're presenting our possessions as surety, but it's not enough," Father went on. "We need your accumulated funds." My accumulated funds, the $1.8 million I had gathered through dedicated effort as a senior executive in economical living, capital saved carefully for eventual stability. "We cannot permit April to be incarcerated," Mother sobbed uncontrollably. "She's too youthful to have her existence destroyed. If you supply us with all your accumulated funds, we can find a way to manage the remaining amount." Father's voice had recovered its customary commanding quality. I gazed upwards at the ceiling. The intravenous drip sound appeared remarkably clear. "Why didn't you come to be with me during my operation last night?" I inquired quietly. "We told you. April's recognition event," which, it emerged, was also a fabrication. Mother was unable to speak. All this period, April's accomplishments were all that was significant. When I obtained my educational qualification, when I received a job advancement, you showed little concern, And last evening, you chose an in the spring, I offered a reciprocal smile. A fresh season is on the verge of commencing. It is September 2024, correct? The avenues of Brooklyn Heights shimmered under the early autumnal sun. A refined placard displaying Wilson and Associates Accounting had been affixed to a commercial structure near the Brooklyn Promenade. As I entered my accounting practice, I pondered the transformations of the preceding 6 months. From the office apertures, Manhattan's skyline extended before me. The aggregation of skyscrapers where my sister's workspace once resided now possessed a different significance in the panorama. "Good morning, Miss Wilson." Sarah at the front desk welcomed me brightly. She was among the associates who had accompanied me upon establishing my own enterprise. "Did you observe the morning broadcast?" Sarah inquired softly. "Yes," I acknowledged with a subtle nod. The morning broadcast had conspicuously presented April's judicial sentence, 15 years of incarceration. With the supplementary proof that had surfaced, the aggregate sum of embezzled assets had surpassed $30 million. Father's property firm was additionally encountering an administrative predicament. The narrative was that significant patrons were revoking agreements successively because of the diminished trustworthiness stemming from April's legal matter. I continued to sporadically receive impassioned communications from my parents, but I no longer provide responses. "Miss Wilson, here are the documents for the 10 a.m. conference. Jessica, the recent recruit, delivered some papers. She was another individual who had endorsed my determination to become autonomous. Thank you. Incidentally, how is the pro bono undertaking progressing? The accounting infrastructure enhancement for the Single Mothers Assistance Organization is advancing according to plan. After achieving independence, I resolved to allocate a portion of our earnings to societal contribution endeavors. This arose from reevaluating what genuine accomplishment truly signifies. Caroline, I pivoted to discover Mrs. Johnson present, holding a floral arrangement. This is in celebration of 6 months since your inauguration. I cultivated these blossoms in my personal garden. Oh, thank you immensely. Roses and gerberas glistened in diverse hues. Last Sunday's supper was also exceedingly pleasant. In lieu of the former customary family Sunday meals, social gatherings with neighbors had evolved into my fresh convention. Presently, I appreciate the affection of authentic human interactions, not constrained by familial bonds. Oh, indeed, I secured the musical performance tickets. Mrs. Johnson stated enthusiastically, "Carnegie Hall next month, correct?" "Precisely. The indulgence of appreciating classical compositions on weekends had also been reinstated in my existence. In the subsequent afternoon, I obtained a telephone call from Murphy. April is expressing a desire to see you." "I will have to refuse," I responded resolutely. "I am not returning to yesteryear." Beyond the window, vessels traversed the East River, navigating the gleaming water. Even the overpass where I experienced the mishap now appeared altered to me. Upon my work surface rested a novel family photograph. It was captured at the recent office commencement celebration. Staff individuals, Mrs. Johnson, and newfound companions. Everyone's smiles were genuinely heartfelt. "Caroline, could you perform a concluding review of this proposition?" Michael, a senior staff member, entered my workspace bearing a substantial document. "Certainly," I affirmed with a grin. Presently, I genuinely comprehend the gratification of labor and the significance of interpersonal connections. In the dusk, as I concluded organizing the office, I peered out the window. Manhattan's illuminations were starting to activate, one after another. Indeed, existence occasionally presents unforeseen deviations. However, if one maintains focus on what genuinely holds importance, a fresh trajectory will invariably unfold. That is what I ascertained through direct experience. I extend from my horticultural handwear. This evening, I believe I will nurture the flora on my veranda. After all, the morrow will usher in yet another novel day.